Hey everybody, Coach Toolshed here, and in today's video we have to talk about something that is pretty serious regarding Cyberpunk 2077 and specifically what went on during the early review process for this game. Now, it's been well covered that they didn't give out review copies for consoles. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about the fact that the game launched and it was all buggy and crashed a lot. I've discussed that already in a video. I did a full video about that. I don't want to discuss how necessarily CD Projekt Red mismanaged the game and didn't put in proper systems into the game and how the game just isn't fully fleshed out. I discussed all that in my final review of the game yesterday. What I want to discuss specifically is the fact that so many early reviewers for this game who were given review copies outright lied to all of us the entire time they were sitting there trying to spackle over the facts, being like, oh yeah, there's a few bugs, but underneath we have a masterpiece on our hands. I'm going to be reading some of the direct quotes coming from some of the early reviews that came out on December 7th as soon as the embargo lifted. I'm going to be discussing some of the big YouTubers who put out their reviews that got, well over 1 million views, where they were just gushing about this game and lying to our faces about what this game contained, about the quality of the game, and just, if it's never been more obvious, I've said this before in numerous videos, but when it comes to certain games and certain studios, the die is already cast. Some of these reviews, clearly these people had been working on the scripts and the rough drafts for these reviews for months on end before they even got the game in their hands. Because some of the stuff I read was shocking when you look back in retrospect and consider what this game actually is and how much content it actually has and how little your choices actually matter at all. I want to start out, I don't like doing direct call-outs. I don't want to send anyone, I don't want to send a Twitter mob over to somebody and get into all that sort of internet social drama. That's not what I'm here for. But I'm going to read you a review from an early reviewer who gave this game a perfect score. And you tell me, if those of you who've played the game, does this sound like Cyberpunk 2077? I mean, you don't even have to click on the review itself. You can just read the blurb part of the review. Listen to this hyperbolic rhetoric and absolute nonsense. Listen to this. Quote, Cyberpunk 2077 is a celebration of the entire medium, marrying cutting-edge technical innovation, unrestrained user agency, in an authentic and immersive experience that transports you to another universe. No game has executed on the promise of gaming like Cyberpunk 2077. CD Projekt Red's artistic achievements cannot be overstated. No punches pulled, no platitudes are given, and no compromises are made. Cyberpunk 2077 remains an experience without peer. Cyberpunk 2077 is an industry high point that, simply put, may never be bested. Right now and without hesitation, I am overjoyed to say Cyberpunk 2077 is everything I've ever wanted from a game. It is the best game I have ever played. Wow. Wow. This, now you'll find quotes like this in a bunch of these articles, but all of that nonsense came from one person's mouth. One person doused this game with that much praise. The sheer drivel in those paragraphs is astounding. This person should be ashamed of themselves. I don't care if you actually do love the game. It's no compromises are made. Have you actually played the game? Because there's a lot of compromises made. An industry high point? After I put out my review yesterday, what system exactly stood out to you? What high point were there? Because the RPG mechanics have been done much better by a lot more games. The loot system has been done a lot better in virtually every game that has a loot system. The mechanics of the game, the gameplay physics of the game are horrendous. Like, what are we talking about? What are the industry high points? It may never be bested. It's the best game you've ever played. Unrestrained user agency. What? There's no user agency. Give me a break. Let's go on to another review. Again, these are all the early reviews talking about. Here's one that buys directly into the nonsense we heard coming from a CD Projekt Red QA tester who said that he had played the game for 175 hours and there's so much content that he hadn't even rolled credits yet. What? What were you doing? Because there's not nearly 170 hours worth of content in this game. There's not even 100 hours of content in this game. You can go through and clear the entire map and do every single mission in under 100 hours. And I have to apologize. There was somebody on another comment section on somebody else's video. I don't even know which video it was at this point. And 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, I guess, the game had been out for about 5 days. And he told me that he had finished the entire game and cleared all the maps. I'm like, you finished already? I'm like, I find that really hard to believe. And he's like, no, I did it. And I'm sitting there and I was like, wow. Because I had just kind of gotten into Act 2. I saw how much stuff there was on the map to do. And I assumed it would be a little bit more substantial than having 100 different NCPD missions that take 15 to 20 seconds apiece to clear. I didn't think it was going to be that shallow and as hollow as it really was. So I have to apologize to whoever you were, who I was arguing with. You were right. Because I managed to do almost... Actually, now, I think 85 hours is kind of long to finish everything. Because my save is about 50 hours long, and I've done nearly everything in the game. I'm going through, I'm clearing all these areas out. It doesn't take that long. There's really not that much in this game. Not compared to the lies we were told. Not like this review that says that CD Projekt Red doesn't overstay its welcome, but it invites players to jack in and stay for hundreds of hours of unique content. Well, see, that's just a lie. Unless you're just spending your entire time on foot, not driving around, walking to every objective, pretending like the NPCs are alive and react to you. I don't know how you could delude yourself into thinking that. You could pretend like the world is living and breathing, which it's not. You could try all that, I guess. I still don't think you could claim that there's hundreds of hours of unique content. You walking around the city isn't unique content. Content means it's a mission, it's a side objective, it's something that the game is putting in front of you to do. That's content. You moseying around the map, soaking in the sights, looking at the same 5 posters on every street corner that you see that are all fuzzed out with the worst texture, like unbelievably bad texture work. If that's what you claim is hundreds of hours of unique content, I guess, but it's not. It's just a lie. I don't understand. There's reviews that talk about the highly competent game systems. And it's not just an open world RPG. I mean, to say that, that's just demeaning. That's degrading. Let's talk about some of the reviewers here on YouTube. And you go back and listen to the people who got the early PC review copies that are big time YouTubers. You know who I'm talking about. You guys know exactly who I'm talking about. Go back and rewatch their reviews. Listen to how they sound like Marcin Nowitzki is literally sitting behind them giving them a back rub. 5 years ago, CD Projekt Red, a little-known Polish developer, launched one of the most critically successful and well-loved games of all time, The Witcher 3. It has been praised. It is wonderful. Blah, 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 blah. Giving us the entire history of the company and The Witcher 3. Not even getting into the review for minutes on end, because first we have to set up how magical CD Projekt Red is as they descend from the mountaintop to bestow the blessing of Cyberpunk upon the masses. The filthy, unwashed masses. Dare they deserve this masterpiece of gaming? Or have you guys seen this one? The wait is finally over. It's been 5 long years, wandering in the wilderness as we waited patiently for CD Projekt Red to complete its magnum opus. This masterpiece, sure there's some bugs, but underneath, there's player choice and player agency like you've never seen before. A true masterpiece of gaming. The best game I've ever played. And on, and on, and on. And all it does is reflect the problem that I've been saying for so long, which is these reviews are predetermined. Red Dead Redemption 2 a couple years ago was always going to get really high reviews. Guess what? When the next Breath of the Wild game comes out, Breath of the Wild 2, that game's going to get probably a 98 or a 99 on Metacritic because the fix is already in. The Last of Us 2, no matter what we said, was always going to get showered with awards and have a high review score. That was always going to happen. Just like Cyberpunk was always going to get scores of 9s and 10s across the board. The reason why is because reviewers are petrified of going against the grain. They're petrified of not being in the middle of the zeitgeist. They're petrified that anyone would call them out. Look at what happened to the GameSpot reviewer. People here on YouTube making video after video and then analysis videos of the original videos, going back and be like, this reviewer, she didn't pay attention. She didn't finish all of the content. She didn't engage in the crafting. She didn't go around and do the useless NCPD activities that take 15 seconds long. How dare she not clear the map? Now, you guys know me. I don't review a game at all until I have beaten it and I have explored the content. But what's funny is, if you go back now, by mistake, on accident, without actually doing what she should have done maybe, to see all there was to see, she was actually right. Most of her criticisms about the game, about the story, about the useless activities, she was right. The NCPD quest lines, or those side jobs, they are pointless. Aside from grinding extra money, the crafting in the game, because of the imbalanced economy and how they dole out crafting material, I'll have thousands of crafting materials for uncommon weapons, but why would I waste my time crafting those? What am I going to do with that? I want to save up my crafting materials so I can craft the good stuff later, but they never give you enough good stuff to actually craft the stuff. I said in my review, after all my time breaking down weapons, right now if I wanted, I could craft one legendary weapon. And then I'm out of parts, and I haven't crafted anything yet. Because the game is so stingy with the crafting materials. So her not engaging in it, who cares? It is a pointless activity. By accident, she actually got it right, and everyone lambasted her. Said, oh, like, she wrote a review that became a meme several years ago. I know, I understand the backstory. But it is very ironic that of all the reviews that came out, her 7 of 10 that everyone crapped on, that everyone gave her a hard time on, is actually probably the most accurate one out there. Isn't that a shocker? And all the people who gave this game perfect scores, 10 out of 10. I saw one review said, it actually said that the game had flaws. It said, the game's far from perfect, but they gave it a perfect score. It's the weirdest thing. If you say a game is, quote, far from perfect, why would you give it a perfect score? It's because they don't review games for a paying customer. They don't care to inform us. They want to write a flowery article. They want to look good. They want the developers and publishers to notice them. They don't want to rub them the wrong way. Remember the video I put out back when Last of Us 2 came out where one of the people who gave the game a poor review was contacted by Sony to discuss some of the issues they had with his review. And you have people who are in the industry who will openly admit in some of their podcasts that they can't be totally honest in their reviews because their peers on Twitter will rip them to shreds. We know that most of the people who review these games all live in one spot in Southern California, and they're all friends with each other. They all appear on the same shows. It's so homogenous, it's not even funny. They're all... I quit this podcast to go to this podcast, and now I'm going to this podcast, and now I'm going to this company, and now I'm a game developer. Like, this is how This is how it just keeps happening. And yet we're supposed to... These are the people who are the tastemakers. These are the people that we listen to. The 75 people who put review scores up, that dictates whether or not a game is good or not. And then you had CD Projekt Red coming out. We're so happy with our Metacritic score. I hope they're happy with the console versions that are reviewing in the 5s. Now that the same review sites that gave the game scores in the 90s before are now backpedaling and being like, the bugs. Totally trying to ignore that the game is actually a hollow shell of what it's supposed to be. That it's not really an actual RPG. That your choices don't actually matter. That none of the systems in the game are fleshed out. That nothing in the game stands out at all. But no, it's the Night City. It's amazing. Hundreds of hours of unique content. It's the best game I've ever played. 10 to 10, 10 to 10, 10 to 10. It's all just sheer and utter lies. And if there's ever been a game to expose it more openly, I don't think it exists. We saw what happened with The Last of Us 2, but in that game, there was that severe social divide where people were arguing on one side or the other, and if you were a evil person if you didn't defend the game, and you were a good person if you did defend the game, and never the twain shall meet. This game doesn't have that same level of animosity, outside of a few small circles that worry about stuff aside from the game. But if you break the game down, it's not politically divisive necessarily. So we don't have that social element as part of the argument right now. It's just the people who gave this game perfect scores and then reality. Because if you're giving this game a perfect score, I have to question every single review you've ever put out. I have to question your opinion on every single game that you've ever reviewed. Because this is so not a perfect game. Not even close. As I already said, tell me what system stands out to you and sets itself above. In my review, I titled it Master of None. Jack of all trades, master of none. And it's not, as I said in the review too, it's not even a jack in some cases, because some of the systems are downright horrendous. Some of the mechanics are downright terrible. So anyone who gave this game a 10 out of 10, like, I don't know. Credibility totally shot when it comes to you giving your opinion. If you want to stick to the news, go for it. Give me the news, baby. But I don't care about your opinion about reviewing a game. Because sheer and utter nonsense I know will come out of your mouth if you're hyped up about something. Because you have the rabid fanboys to please. You don't want to get them on your back, so you have to appease them. You have to appease to the hive mind. And that's all you really care about. You don't care about informing people who are actually going to have to shell money out. You just buy it, buy it, buy it. Click my links. Click my merch. Here's some more ad revenue for me. I get the early clicks because I have early review copies. So I get 1 million views on my review. And I reap all the benefits of that. Please support my Patreon. It makes me sick. The marketing campaign for this game is actually the main reason why I haven't made a video in the last 4 months. Because I was getting so worked up seeing this. It was making me sick every time when they're putting influencers in the game, and when I could see people already just in the preview pieces just talking about how magical this game was going to be. I was like, wow, could the fix be in any harder? And like I said, for certain companies, CD Projekt Red is probably off the list now, but you know, your Naughty Dogs, your Rockstars, previously this company, Nintendo games for the most part, they're always going to get glowing reviews, because if you step out of line, you're going to get smacked down by your peers, you're going to get smacked down by the fans. So you stay in line like a good little reviewer, and you give every game an 8 or 9 or a 10. Never go to 7 unless it's a really bad game. Because the review scores are so skewed in the gaming industry, it's not even funny. We discussed that before. I'm not going to get into that today. But if you go back, a quote, people keep talking about all the quotes coming from CD Projekt Red, but there's one quote that flew under the radar that stuck out to me that they made 2 years ago when they had their behind closed doors showing of the game, And they only allowed certain YouTubers and certain media outlets behind closed doors because, quote, the fans wouldn't understand that the build is a work in progress, and they would see the footage and they wouldn't know what was indicative of the final product. Oh, okay, I think you could have shown any sort of bugs and it would have been indicative of the final product, but besides the point. At the time, people said, CD Projekt Red, why won't you show us the game? And their quote was, and they couldn't have come up with a more perfect quote for what really happened here. They said, quote, we want to control the hype. And there you go. And that's what they did the whole time. They put way more effort into controlling the hype surrounding this game than they ever put into fine-tuning the systems, making sure the game was running properly, listening to the QA testers, although if we have the, quote, lead QA tester openly lying about how much content's in the game, should we be trusting the QA testers? I keep seeing these podcasts of people trying to defend the game now. Trying to be like, oh, well, game development's really hard, you guys. I'm sure the quality control department caught all these bugs. Did they? Because we even had the QA team lying to us. Literally. Outright lying as part of the marketing campaign. It's unbelievable. CD Projekt Red lied for years about this game. Oh, is it going to be like GTA? No, nothing like that. What? Huh? It's going to be more choice-driven than games you've seen before. We're so proud. Hey, guys, this goes for all developers. Stop talking about how proud you are of a game until it's actually out in the public's hands. And then if they like it, then you can be proud of it. Because just because you worked on a thing and you made a product to sell to the public, it doesn't necessarily mean you should be proud of it. Because in this case, apparently you're proud of a clearly unfinished, clearly broken, clearly not what was promised product. So congratulations. You feel pride for that? Great. I don't know what that really says about you, except I don't trust your company at all. I won't ever again. Not that I really did before, but I think that my feelings about your company is now spreading rapidly throughout the gaming public. The failure of this game after it was pulled off of Sony's storefront, that's not just gaming news. That you can go to mainstream news outlets that were reporting on that. That is a major deal that this game got pulled off the storefront a week before Christmas, no less. That's a major deal. They broke trust hard. And the reviewers who went along with it, give me a break. You should all be ashamed of yourselves. There's no excuse. There's no defense. They're trying to backpedal now and try to blame it all on the bugs and act like, oh, if the bugs were just get fixed in a couple months, when the bugs get fixed, there's a masterpiece under there. No, there isn't. There's not. And the more people finish the game, the more people get back and talk to me about this game, that opinion is what's coming back from the actual people who put their money down for these games. Not from the people who get free copies, whose money isn't on the line, who get pampered and treated like they're special. Would you like us to come on your podcast, sir? Would you like us to give you more preview exposure, sir? All you have to do is agree to make X amount of videos for us, and all you have to do is just sign this NDA where you can only talk about what we tell you to talk about, and where you can only describe parts of the game that we decide we want the public to know about, and where you have to mention these specific talking points as part of your presentation. But don't worry, it's all going to be totally unbiased and totally on the level, and the millions of people who are going to watch this video, they're going to believe you because they've been primed through years of overpraise for our last game. And people told us for years that our game was perfect. And if anyone dared to criticize The Witcher 3's combat or dared to criticize anything that maybe it wasn't quite as deep of an RPG as some people made it out to be, or maybe there could have been flaws in the engine and bugs, and maybe the game didn't launch perfectly. Well, if you tried to bring that up over the last 5 years, I know from personal experience, you would get into weeks-long argument with people if you let them. Because the fanboy brigading for this game was insane. And I know finally people have opened their eyes now. But it took a long time, and it took a massive, totally exposed failure for it to happen. And I hope that the high-profile failure of CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk 2077 and the reviewers who gave this game a 10 out of 10, I hope that finally a lot of people are going to wake up and realize you cannot hype up a game before it's in your hands. If you get it and you truly think it's the best thing you've ever played, okay, tell me about it. But I'm not going to be listening to these reviewers. And I'm certainly not going to listen to any company. So congratulations, CD Projekt Red. You really stepped in your own bear trap this time. Well done. Fully exposed. Anyway, that's it from me, Coach Toolshed. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Please subscribe. If you want to stay in tune with the channel, head forward. And as always, keep it turned to 11.